Hello, and welcome to Eppendorf Lab Channel, your home for experts and knowledge live. I'm Matthew Yurkevich, a marketing manager for Eppendorf SE here in Hamburg, Germany. We're all very excited to have you joining us for the latest installment in our series of webinars on digitalization, entitled More Than Just an ELN, Limitless Options with an Open Ecosystem. In today's presentation, you will learn how eLabNext and Eppendorf provide digital lab solutions for any laboratory need. Improve the quality of your life science research, optimize your workflow, and increase productivity. By using an open ecosystem, you can have a more usable, secure, and customizable electronic laboratory notebook that helps you future-proof your lab, allowing you to change the software in accordance with how your workflow evolves over time. I have the pleasure to welcome our presenter, Gabriela Sanchez, an account manager for eLabNext. Gabriela has a master's in biotechnology and has worked in various laboratories with a focus on cancer biology. Her experience has shaped her understanding of the vital processes and systems of today's research environment and enable her to find the best possible solutions for you and your lab. Hello, Gabriela. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Hi, Matthew. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great. It's wonderful to have you here. Now, before Gabriela gets started, I would like to direct your attention to the interactive portion of Eppendorf Lab Channel. If you look below the video feed, you will see a short form for submitting questions. After the presentation is completed, we will have a question and answer period where Gabriela can answer questions you have submitted. If we don't have time to get to every question live, don't worry. The experts will reply via email after the event. Now, without any further ado, I'd like to hand over the reins to Gabriela. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Matthew. So welcome, everyone. I'm happy to be here. So let's get started. I'm going to be talking about more than just an ELN and how you have limitless options with an open ecosystem. So the presentation was done originally by my colleague, Victoria, who couldn't be here today. So I will be her backup today. And thank you again for the introduction, Matthew. Okay. So today's agenda, we're going to start with a short introduction about eLabNext and who we are. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about what's going on in the lab. So what is the current situation or the situation that most scientists have in the lab? And what is the ideal situation that everyone would like to achieve in regards to processes and organization? And then why you need more than just an ELN to achieve the situation, and how an open ecosystem also helps you build more of a structure organization in the lab. So we're going to have then a short deep dive into what an open ecosystem is and what it characterizes it and how you can also find such systems when looking for an ELN. And finally, we're going to have a short look at our open ecosystem, which is called the marketplace. And finally, I'm going to end the presentation with a little bit of an information on where you can meet us next, and finally the Q&A. So who is eLabNext? eLabNext is a leading global distributor of laboratory software, which was established in 2010. Our founders, Erwin Sayen and Wouter de Jong, met in the University of Groningen. And while working there, they actually came with the idea of eLab. So they were pretty frustrated with the things or with how things were handled in the lab. Mostly, I think what most of us who have worked in labs before have experienced, not finding samples, not knowing where your things are or who used it last. So all of these things, kept them up at night, and they wanted to find an easier way to manage their samples, to store things in the lab in a way that would also, get rid of all of the sticky notes or the 100,000 Excel sheets with the location of samples that can be found nowhere. So they wanted to, come up with something that would be more easy to use and, of course, also GLP compliant, that you can see, okay, who used it last, where was the sample used last, was it contaminated, was it not contaminated, and so on. So this is how they came up with this idea of which started in the beginning just as an organizational plan to store samples. And then they went one step further and started their own electronic lab notebook, which became eLab Journal and then eLabNext. and we are now here. So since 2016, we are also partner with Eppendorf. So we're part of the Eppendorf group. And we also have a ISO certification 27001. We are compliant with the 21 CFR Part 11 of the FDA, which refers to electronic signatures. We are GDPR compliant. All of our servers are located in Europe. Our shared cloud even in Germany. And we are also GXP compliant and HIPAA compliant. So where are we located at the moment? So I know that I said we are part of the Eppendorf group, but we're not located in Hamburg. The headquarters are in the Netherlands, in Groningen, but we have offices in the United States, in Australia, and in the UK as well. So most than anything, we would like to get the message across that eLabNext has been created by scientists for scientists, and all of our consultants and account managers come from a scientific background. So we are always trying to put people that understand what is going on in the lab and what it means to work in a lab and the problems I usually can find by working in a lab with many people, trying to collaborate, find samples, and get results for your experiments, for your projects, for your PhD. So this is something that we'd want to emphasize. So it's by scientists for scientists. Okay, so the products that we offer. We have 3 different products. One is eLab protocols. Then we separately sell eLab inventory, and the product that complies all of this is eLab journal. So eLab protocols is a free tool that you can use in your lab at any time. You just need to register in our website, and you can use it to manage your protocols, to create SOPs and processes for your lab. As I said, this is free. It has no extra costs or hidden costs that you need to worry about. And then eLab inventory can be purchased by itself. This is our inventory management system. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to start with my inventory and trying to get things sorted out, where do I find my samples, put my freezers into order before you start with an actual laboratory notebook or something like that, you can purchase this alone, as I said. And then the tool that has everything in one would be eLab Journal, where you can find included the inventory management system as well as the protocol tools. So in addition to this, we also offer our marketplace, which allows you to further expand the functionalities of eLab and get additional functions for the inventory, for the journal, and also for the protocol. So this is something that we're going to get into later on in the presentation. I'm going to be talking about the marketplace and what we offer there. So yeah. Okay, so what are our services? Of course, we offer you the licenses for your software. So depending on the number of people that would need access to the software, you can get the number of seats. We call them seats. So these are the licenses that everyone needs in order to access the software. This is managed by us in the main hosting solution, so the shared cloud. We offer also different kinds of hostings. And for these kind of hostings, we offer backups and data storage for the cloud services. We provide also software updates regularly. And we offer you, of course, this is one of the most important things when you're looking for an ELN, support. So we have a dedicated customer success team, which is there for you if you need anything, if you're having issues, not finding something in the software or something is not working right. We do have a team dedicated for you. And of course, the level of support that you're going to get, it depends on what the service level agreement you have purchased. But the main level bronze is always included in all of our accounts. So you're going to have support every time. So we have a Capterra review of 4.5 so that our support is also doing a great job of keeping our customers satisfied. They think that they are being taken care of, their needs are being addressed, and their problems are being solved. So this is why we wanted to also mention this here. So what's going on in the lab? We're going to start with the ideal situation of how it should look like. So we have a lot of processes and systems that are happening mostly at the same time in the lab. But in theory, if we're talking just about one scientist working on one project, this is the workflow that would be the ideal way, right? So you have your collection and storage of data, which you want to analyze, which you want to share in order to collaborate with your colleagues, and then which you want to track. So, right, you want to know which samples were used to create this data, what do I need to, to use or to get again if I want to replicate this data. And then if I want to analyze it, where was the data saved? How can I put it into analysis? How can I link it to my experiments or to my protocols and so on? So this would be, in an ideal way, a perfect circle of everything connecting with each other so that everything has a way of being traced back to where it came from. But unfortunately, this is not the way that it usually looks in the lab. It looks more like this. So it's kind of like a disoriented setup of work where we have different parts, so the same parts that I just mentioned being done, as I said, at the same time, but not really connected to each other, so that it's really a struggle to try to find the workflow and collaborate more than anything with other scientists. If you're not the one managing the data, then you cannot find it. You don't know where the samples are. You don't know where the SOPs are. So it's kind of like a mess. And in this case, we have, again, the data collection and storage being done by instruments which have or reproduce digital data, which is then again kept in paper lab books. So not in theory the best combination. And then if we have some kind of digital documentation being kept in the lab, is kept in internal servers, which are saved in 100,000 folders in the lab. And then again, if you want to collaborate, you need to ask, where is it? Can I find it? Do I have access? A million questions need to be answered in order to get to that data. Um, and then the analysis is the same. We're using different kind of softwares which also don't communicate with each other. So it's, again, several documents with several versions, with the initials usually of the one who edited last or the last version, and you don't really know, okay, what do I need to use, which is the one that I want to work with. So it's really hard to keep on track here on what's going on. The same with the inventory. Here we have other issues. I'm sure that everyone, as I said, who's worked in the lab or is working in a lab has seen this. I know I used to have this myself. The different Excel tables may be for each freezer or for each room or for each lab, where you have, where the samples are located, and it's impossible to understand anyway, to find a sample. And also there are people that use still these paper inventories where you stick it usually on the freezer doors and say, okay, here are these samples, which also then again makes it really hard to find them, because sometimes you don't understand what it's written there. You don't really know, is this here? What does it mean? So it's really complicated to know in the end if it's really the sample that you're looking for, or if it's really located where you want to look. And in the end, everyone ends up just opening the freezer, the liquid nitrogen tank, or what it is, to just look for the sample manually. And then we have a similar situation with the SOPs, where, again, there are several ways that you can keep track of this. So there are labs that keep it digital, maybe Word or another similar program. And there are people that still have them in, paper-based, so written protocols that are, pasted into the lab notebook. And again, so if something changed with the SOP, if it's something is new in a procedure, then you cannot really know which one to use or what changed, because there's no really a way of knowing what is the updated version, who updated it last. And of course, there's a lack of signature workflow. So having this possibility to say, okay, this is the last version, this is something that I signed and then someone else signed again, so this is definitely the one that I should use. So it's lacking in the current way that most scientists work in the lab. So how do we get from that to something that I showed before? So to this nice workflow where we had the circle of everything connected. So this is why you need more than just an ELN where you can digitize everything. And this is how we would solve that. So you see here a representation of both scenarios. So we have, this kind of different machines and different programs being used to keep track of everything in the lab. So if you use eLab Journal, you could already connect 3/4 of the circle. So at least collect and store the data, the inventory, and the collaboration of the SOPs are all going to be in one single place. And we're just going to miss this 1/4 for now. I'm going to explain how would each of these tools help you connect these things with each other. So let's start with the journal. This would be the experiments. So in eLab Journal, you have the possibility to create different groups. So if you're working within different departments or just different labs, you have that option of to have this organized in separate groups who have different projects. And then within those projects, you can have different studies. And within those studies, you're going to have your experiments. So the organization of this is really depending on the customer itself. So there's people that use the projects as years, the studies are something else. So there's really a lot of way to play with these different levels to organize your lab, but it gives you a very clear structure where to find things. So if I want to find an experiment done by, let's say, Gabriela in 2016, then I already know where to look, in which level, and how to get access to that data if I need it for analysis, for example, and to send it somewhere else. Within the experiments, you also have the possibility to choose from a wide range of segments, and you can create different kind of sections that allow you to create or portray the data or the work that you're doing in the lab. So you can add text paragraphs, you can add procedure templates, which would be the SOPs. You can link samples to your experiments as well, which makes it easy to see, okay, which samples were used here, or maybe if I generated something new out of the experiment, I can also link a sample that it was generated from this experiment, which will also be traced in that way. You can collaborate with your colleagues by commenting on sections, tagging them so that they get a notification that you need their help, you need their opinion on something. And this can be also managed by the groups according to different permissions that you can assign within a group to different roles that you have in the lab. And so you can really stay up to date with everything that's happening across the lab if you're collaborating with colleagues to know, okay, what's happening in this experiment, what's going on in mine, and have an overview of the different parts of the experiment or the status of the experiment as long as you work in parallel. So in the inventory, what eLab Journal allows you to do, or eLab Inventory in this case, is to really recreate what you have in the lab in the software. So we don't want you to, of course, you cannot change your entire freezer and change your entire, compartments and subcompartments and then just make it in something that we suggest you in the software. That's not the ideal way that it works. So you need to see it more like as an organization of a closet, right? So you're working with what you have and you're just organizing it in a nice way that it can be easily understood by everyone and the samples can be easily found. And what eLab Journal or eLab Inventory allows you to do with this is that you can create the storage units that you already have in the lab with the compartments that you already have in the lab. So in the picture here, for example, we see a freezer, then we see the shelves, then the subcompartment would be this rack where the boxes are located. So the boxes are the containers. And all of these elements are completely personalizable. So you can personalize it to what you guys really use in the lab. And you don't need to change anything or adapt to something that you're not used to. So you can really have the flexibility to choose here from a wide range of options that we give you, or even customize it to what you need or what you already have in the lab. So this is how the inventory looks. It gives you, as I said, a nice overview of all of your freezers, all of the subcompartments and the boxes. And if you access the box, you have this nice view of the samples next to the information of each sample which you select. So we see here, this is my box. I know which color is, like from the legend, what is each color, which sample type it is. And then next to it, I already see the information of this antibody. I can see if it has been used in that experiment. And you can filter through these tabs like to see, okay, experiments, audit trail, tasks, everything or all of the information that you need is really next to each other and accessible for everyone in the lab. So that it's really not that complicated to find where something is or where a sample has been before, because you also have a complete audit trail that tells you, okay, this was used last by this person, this was changed or it was in this experiment used last time, and so on. And then finally, eLab protocols allows you to have a better management of the SOP. So what I mentioned in the beginning, it's really hard to keep track. Okay, did something change? Maybe, there's a new procedure being used. There's new steps that I should include in mine. And if you have it pasted to your lab notebook, it's not really, the best way also to collaborate with colleagues, because you need to, share your book with someone else. Maybe they don't understand your writings, your notes. So by having a management of the SOPs with eLab protocols, you can actually create one which has also these variable fields. We call them variables, which can be changed according to the experiment that you're doing. You can share this with the entire lab if you want. You can keep it private if you're still working on it and don't think that it is ready to be used by someone else, maybe. And you can also have a very nice overview of the different versions of the protocol. So you can compare, for example, if I have 5 versions, version 5 with version 4 or version 4 with version 3, and always see what has been added, what has been removed, who did it, and when was this done, so that you always know, okay, this is the latest version that I want to take, or if someone changed something that you don't like, you can always go back to a previous version. And more than anything, this also includes a signature workflow, the same as in the experiments. You can sign the protocol once you're done, and you can assign a witness signature to sign it again for you, so to review it and sign it, so that this is really then the last version that you guys are going to be using in your experiments. Okay, so now in the circle, we covered these 3 parts, which can connect to each other. So I can collect and store my data. I can link the inventory into my data. I can link my protocols to my samples, to my data, and have all of this nice workflow here that everyone has access to. Collaboration is easy, and I can also keep track through the audit trails of everything that has happened in my lab, with my document, with my data, with my SOPs, with my samples. Now we're missing just the quarter of analysis, where we said, we use different softwares, different things to analyze our data. And this we can solve by our open ecosystem. So now we can go into the deep dive of what an open ecosystem is, and to understand, how you recognize this and what is the important message to take from an open ecosystem. Why is this important? So in order to understand what an open ecosystem is, we need to first understand the difference between an open source and a closed source software. So in open source, as the name already says it, the source code is available to the public. So anyone can see it, anyone can modify it and distribute the code. In this case, you have a source code, as you can see here in the diagram, which can be accessed by hackers, which doesn't make it that secure, but can also be accessed by any user who wants to use it, which does make it more flexible. So if I am looking to build something that specifically meets my needs, that specifically is adapted into the workflow that I already have in my lab, then this is what I would actually be looking for. So something that I can modify, that I can code into becoming my own, and adapting into what I want. However, as I said, because this is accessible to everyone, it doesn't make it that secure. And also because, it can be modified by basically every user, it doesn't also have the support that you're looking for in such a system. So if you're having some issues, if you have problems or questions, you're usually not going to get a good support from an open source software. And the usability is also something that is low, since, let's be honest, if you're building something that it's going to be in your mind easy to use for you, then most probably it's not going to be easy for you to use for someone else. So this is why the usability usually with this kind of softwares is very low. It's not that easy to use. It's not that easy to understand. It's not user friendly. And if we now go to the other part where we see the closed source software, it's the contrary. So no access to the public to the source code. Only the vendor can see, modify, and distribute the code. In this case, the source code is only communicating with the programmers in one specific language, and then this is distributed to the end users to use the interface of the software. So In this case, the security is very high because you have, no access, no one can access it. So it's very secure. No one can change the source code. You have very high support as well, because usually this kind of softwares have a dedicated support team, which is available 24/7 for you. If something goes wrong with this, with the software, if there's a bug or if there's anything going on, they're going to be there fixing it, trying to make it better, trying to always improve the software, keeping updates up to date, and so on. And the same with the usability. There's usually a dedicated team just trying to think, okay, how can we make the software more user friendly? That, the way that it's built, it's easy to understand for everyone and not just from one specific person or one specific work area. So, but really make it, user friendly for everyone who wants to try it out and use it. So if we compare these two options, we can see first, you have open source with low flexibility, closed source with high flexibility, and open source with high flexibility, closed source with low flexibility. Then security for an open source software is very low, and for the closed source software is high, the same as the support and the usability. So what makes an open ecosystem? An open ecosystem would be the combination of these two kind of softwares. So what are the advantages of this? In eLabNext, we have an open ecosystem. So this is basically keeping our source code software, so our closed source software, in which our source code is only shared with the programmer and in one language, not accessible to the public, but adding one extra layer. So this extra layer that we have added is this rectangle that you see here on the bottom, where we allow our users to have access to certain parts of our source code. So by doing this, we allow the users to be able to add innovation or integrate third-party softwares, or even expand the functionalities of eLab. So in conclusion, an open ecosystem is the ideal combination of the flexibility of an open source software and the quality of a closed source software. So it gives the users the advantage to be able to personalize the software to fit exactly to their workflow without any limitations, but still keeping the high security, high support, and high usability of a closed source software. Yeah. And this is our open ecosystem. So, what does an open ecosystem have? First of all, and most important, in our case, we are ISO 27101 certified, which means that you can be sure that your data is secured, the management of data is being done properly. This is something that companies go through this certification, and we are audited in order to make sure that everything is being handled and managed properly. And in addition to this, an open ecosystem offers the possibility, as I said before, to further personalize the ELN by integrating or linking third-party software applications using our application programming interface. So we call it eLab APIs. So the API allows you to retrieve data from eLab Journal to process it in third-party applications, or to write data generated by other softwares and, modify it in eLab Journal. So in addition to the APIs, our open ecosystem also offers the ability to extend, integrate, or customize any of the features that we offer in eLab Journal. So this can be done by using our software development kits, or we call them eLab SDKs. So the software development kits are tools and programs that can be used by developers to create applications. And these applications, we call them add-ons. I'm going to go into that later in the presentation. So with the SDKs, your team can customize eLab Journal to meet the exact needs of your lab. And you can add new features, you can create new buttons to make new functions or combine functions that are existing already in eLab. So just to make it more adapted to what you need, in the lab and to the work that you are following in your lab. So by using the APIs together with the software development kits, We allow all customers to be able to customize and extend the functionalities of the software according to the demands of your laboratory. So now that we have this full circle here and we said, eLab journal, eLab inventory, eLab protocols, and our open ecosystem is the thing that helps you connect all of this, you can remove the background that we had before. So all of these machines, all of these third-party softwares that don't have a way of communicating, all of this can be just done from one single digital platform where you can integrate third-party softwares, where you can keep track of your SOPs, keep track of your samples, and link them to your experiment, link them to your protocols, collaborate with your colleagues. So all from one place. And now that we have this final circle and final, nice workflow in the lab, we can present what our ecosystem is, or what our open ecosystem is. We call it the eLab Marketplace. So the eLab Marketplace, or our open ecosystem, is a place with a rapidly growing list of add-ons that extend the functionality of eLab. So this is open for also third parties to build add-ons. This is why we have integrations with other softwares who have built their add-on and is compatible with eLab, so you can use it in your lab as well. It also gives you the flexibility using the SDKs and APIs to build your own add-ons. So not only third-party softwares with big companies can use this, but our end users can also benefit from this by using SDKs and APIs to build their own add-ons and extend the functionalities of the software. So this also makes you a future-ready lab because, things are evolving fast, times are changing, and it might be that what today is working tomorrow will not be working anymore for your lab. So you always have the possibility to expand functionalities, to add new features, to keep growing from what everything is coming with technology for the work in a laboratory. Okay, so you have, as I said, the marketplace is full of add-ons. This is just an example of the add-ons that we have, and we're going to go into this right now when we're going to talk about some of the add-ons that we offer and what you can get out of these add-ons as well. So first of all, the marketplace is open for everyone in the group. Through the different permission settings that we have, you can also control who can install them or not. It can be installed system-wise or autonomously by each user to see if this is something that you can use out of it, or if it's maybe something that, it's not really something that you need. So let's start with some monitoring and tracking of equipment. So we have integrations with Elemental Machines and Eppendorf Vision iSense, which are the sensors to keep track of the temperatures of your storage units. So as you can see here in the picture, if you install these add-ons and you have the sensors, you can see the temperature of the freezer and also keep track of how this has changed over time. So if you're afraid that the freezer turned off during the night or something happened to your samples and you want to make sure that they were always safe at the correct temperature, you will always have access to that data as well. In addition to this, we also have a collaboration or integration of Cluster Market, which helps you manage your equipment. So by integrating Cluster Market into eLab Journal, you're able to also add a list of equipments that you have used in an experiment and also link the equipment to the experiment where you used it. And you can link, of course, both equipment from Cluster Market to eLab Journal. Additionally, we also have an integration with Office Online. So this allows you to work with all of the Office tools, so Word, Excel, and PowerPoint within an experiment section where you can do analysis of data or have tables with results or whatever is it that you need. You can include it in the section of your experiment and have always a nice overview of the documents that you have. You can also have it in a GLP compliant way. So you see here in the second window, it's the history where you can see the latest version and then the last time that it was updated so that you can always see what changes were done with this document and who did them and when. So another software that we offer, this is a software which needs to be installed in your computer, is eLab Web Edit. And this is also, in addition to all of the open ecosystem that I was mentioning before, because eLab Web Edit, what it does is that it allows you to work with third-party softwares within eLab. So if I have, for example, files in GraphPad, if I have files in SnapGene, or any other software that I may use to, analyze my data that I got from my experiment, you can just link it in the experiment itself by using eLab Web Edit. And what eLab Web Edit does is that it downloads the document, opens it in the right software. You can do changes, you can update the document, and as soon as you're done, you can save it, and all of those changes will be saved in eLab. And same with the Office add-on that I mentioned before, you have a history of the file. So you can always see who updated it last, when was the last version served. And if you need one of the previous versions, you can always download a previous version of the document so that you can compare it to what you have now. So in addition to this, we also have integrations for chemistry. In this case, we offer Marvin.js, which is a chemical editor that offers an intuitive tool with which you can draw chemical structures and visualize chemical reactions. Here as well, all versions of any changes made are automatically saved and archived in the history section of the eLab journal. And this is also compliant or GLP compliant. And then in addition to this, we also offer a tool which is called Chemicist. And this offers a wide range of features to support chemistry labs and researchers in expanding digital lab capabilities. So some of the things that the Chemicist tool can do include chemistry registry with structural drawing, fingerprinting and searching capabilities. So you can do screening of your full chemical registry based on the chemical drawing or your SMILE structure. And you can also have chemical structure drawing. So this is via the ChemAxon or Marvin.js. And you can execute reactions which auto-generate a reaction table. Yeah. So in addition to this, we also offer tools for molecular biology labs. In this case, it's a Clonicist. And this is designed to assist molecular biologists in expanding their workflow with sequencing analysis, annotation, tracking, and reporting. So one of the few things or features that this add-on has is plasmid visualization. You can easily cut molecules with certain restriction enzymes, then apply the result to new molecules. You can visualize both the linear and the circular sequences, and you can work on multiple reactions at the same time. So multiple tubes can be created to perform a reaction. And they also may be open simultaneously or collapse for future use. So and finally, we also have some integrations for labeling, of course, because all of the things that I mentioned in the beginning that are the problems that we see in inventory, at least for me, it was understanding the writing of my colleagues to find samples and understand, what is this actually? Is this really written what I think it's written, or is it something else? So of course, you have integrations with label printers. We have a collaboration with Fluix, which is a startup in Munich, and we also have integrations with CPL printers, where you can configure and design your own labels and how you want it to look or the information that you want it to contain. In addition to this, there's also possible through the marketplace to install add-ons for barcode automations and barcode import. So I know that, my examples are always saying labs that don't have any digitalization in their workflows included, but I know as well that there are labs that have actually a lot already digital. So if you already have a barcode that you work with for your samples, and you don't want to lose that because all of your process is already with that, you can import the barcodes into eLab together with the samples as well. So you can actually import samples into eLab. And the barcode automation is also an extension of these QR codes that we generate automatically in the inventory that help you perform automatic actions. So for example, you could create a barcode that instead of it being a sample or an equipment, it performs an action. So if I want to delete samples, I can just go to my lab with my scanner. I can create my barcode that will signify the action of deleting, and I can just scan all samples that I want to delete and then scan my barcode automation sample, and all of it will be deleted. So I can just really do it while I'm literally throwing the samples in the trash. So that was our marketplace, and what will be the next eLab marketplace add-on? Hopefully yours. So this is the goal that we want to do for our software, and how we see us growing as a company is giving the end users the possibility to keep customizing eLab, to keep growing the numbers of atoms that we have, and for you to have the best tool possible to help you in your daily work, and to be able to really represent the needs that you have in your lab. So, and for that, you can use eLab APIs and eLab SDKs. So what are important points to consider when choosing an ELN? So, when you're looking for an open source, open ecosystem software. So first of all, and this is something that we recommend every time that a customer reaches out to us, is try it yourself. So this is definitely a must for everyone who's trying to find a digital tool for the lab. Test. There's a lot of companies that offer a limited trial, or with limited versions, or you can only use this part and so on. So I really recommend ask them if they offer maybe an extended trial where you can get the full version, just for you to really have a feeling, okay, is this really representing what I need? Is this really going to work in a long-term vision? Because if not, then you're going to be forced to change the system and then migrate all of the information, which, I mean, it can be done, but it's still a lot of work. Then ask always for the availability of APIs and SDK, if you have the possibility to further customize the software to your needs, and integrate third-party softwares as well. Check for ISO certification. This is something that goes unnoticed by many customers that don't really check or ask for this. This is really something very important in regards to data security, and in the end you are sharing your data with all of this companies, so make sure that they have the appropriate certification for that. Schedule a personal demo. You always want to see from their end, how do they use it, what features are available, and sometimes just by testing, it might be that there's a feature that you're missing, that you don't know where to find it. So always schedule a demo, see from them what they are recommending you to use, what are the key features, and finally ask questions. So ask a lot of questions as you can, especially during the trial, because the support that you're going to get during this phase is 100% the support that you're going to get also when you become a customer. So ask a lot of questions, make sure that they are responsive, that they are looking into your problems, and they are being kind and nice and helping you and having your back. So if you find all of the information that I've shared today interesting, and you want to find out more, maybe do a demo with us, or just see what we're up to, we're going to be attending the events that are listed here in the presentation. So we're going to be in ILMAC. This is already next week. We're going to be in Lab of the Future Europe in Amsterdam, Lab Days in Oslo. So there's a lot of events coming up. So if you are attending any of these events in the UK, Germany, or Europe, just please, feel free to visit our booth, where we would be happy to welcome you and give you additional information or a demo or anything that you would want to know. So, and with that, I would be finished with my presentation. And yeah, are there any questions for me, or that I can answer for you?
Thank you, Gabriela. We actually do have a couple questions that came in. We'll start with the first one. Can you integrate project management tools into your system?
Yes, this is something that we get asked a lot. And yes, so through the eLab APIs, you can integrate third-party tools, as I said. And the project management tool is asked a lot. So we have customers that have integrated Power BI, for example. But as I said, so through the APIs, you can also connect other tools for project management.
Okay. The next one is, what type of hosting solutions do you offer?
Yeah, so we have three types of hosting solutions. The first one would be the shared cloud. So this is a web-based server. You would be sharing the cloud with the remaining customers that are there. That server is located in Germany for a shared cloud in Frankfurt. And then the second one would be a private cloud, which would basically mean that you have a cloud server just for you. And the location of that server can be decided by the customer, so they can have it wherever they want in Europe. And the third one is an on-premise installation, which basically means that the software is installed in a server located either at the university or the company or wherever it is that the customer is.
Okay, well, speaking of cloud and server management, I got one more question since we're bumping up against the time. Is the platform GLP or GDPR compliant?
Yes, we are GLP compliant. We actually have customers that have gone through this process, and we're always happy to support them through the process. And yeah, so we are GLP compliant. And GDPR, yes, of course, as I said, so all of the data is based in Europe, with the shared cloud also being located in Germany. So we are a GDPR compliant company.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Gabriela, for your informative presentation. It was great to learn so much about digitalization in the lab and the solutions provided by eLabNext.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Now, to learn more about eLabNext and Eppendorf Digitalization Future, visit eLabNext.com. Find out how to elevate your research with digital lab solutions to improve the quality of your life science study, optimize your workflow, and increase productivity. You can request a personal demo or start a free trial today. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next broadcast. You can visit eppendorf.com/lab channel to save the date in your calendar. If you miss out on this broadcast or any of our past events, you can view them all in their entirety on demand at eppendorf.com/lab channel. Watch them on your own time and use the links to contact the experts with any questions, comments, or reactions. Now, on behalf of Gabriela and everyone else here at Eppendorf Lab Channel, thank you for taking the time to join us. And until we see you again, stay safe and have a wonderful day.